Hey everybody, so this is Jonathan Moore once again with the Hometown Historian channel, and we are here at the Conrad Weiser Homestead. We're going to read some of these different signs. We're not going to go so much into the man, we're just going to dwell more on the property. But a lot of different cool buildings here. We're going to probably go down this way to the gravestone. There's an old barn as well. It's a really neat place to come and visit. What each of these buildings are, I believe they do have a thing here somewhere that talks about it, like what each building are. They do have over here the main house. They don't believe that was the original homestead. It's actually the building that's over here. Once I get past these bushes, I'll be able to show you a little bit better. The smaller building right over there, they think may have been the original homestead, but they're really not sure. But just very, very old buildings. Let's see this. We'll go up here to the, and you can see a couple of like log buildings there, and just really neat old buildings. But this is the family cemetery. They actually had quite a few, I believe, Indian chiefs were buried here as well. I'll have to do a little bit of an audio thing to like talk about a little bit more information. I believe this right here is his tombstone. I believe this is Conrad Weiser's tombstone. He did serve in French and Indian War. He was sort of the overall commander in the general region, and he put together like the forts, like we've talked about Fort Swatara. These would be the ones that were actually organized by, at that time it was the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It wasn't a state yet. And then this is the memorial here in memory of Conrad Weiser. Really pretty memorial. We'll go down over. We'll probably do a later one at some point where I spend a little bit more time here when it's not as nasty. This was erected by the Patriotic Order Sons of America, Berks County, in 1909. Conrad Weiser, pioneer, soldier, diplomat, magistrate, as interpreter and Indian agent, he negotiated every treaty from 1732 until near the close of the French and Indian War. Born in Oststadt, Württemberg, Germany, November 2nd, 1696, died at Womelsdorf, PA, which was here July 13th, 1760. And you have posterity will not forget his services. That was General George Washington. Over here is actually quite a cool statue that I'm going to show you. It's actually a memorial to apparently one of the Muhlenbergs. I guess this is an honor, this mall in between the bushes and everything is I guess be Frederick Conrad Augustus Muhlenberg. I believe he's buried down in Lancaster. He's in the same cemetery, I believe in the same cemetery as James Buchanan, 15th President of the United States. But this guy here, we've talked about him a few different places. He was the pastor at St. Luke's in Schaefferstown, but he was also the first pastor at the Salem Evangelical Lutheran Church, and he was the first Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, and also the fourth Speaker of the House of Representatives. Pretty impressive person. Muhlenberg dynasty was very big in this area. His father was the patriarch of the family, and his brother, I believe, was down in Virginia, but he was also quite the politician. They were all involved in the Lutheran Church as well. A lot of times the father, the patriarch Muhlenberg, is considered, along with John Casper Stover, as the modern fathers of the American Lutheran Church. I'll be happy once this winter, or whatever this weather is, was going around today and taking pictures of Pennsylvania historic markers, so I'm using all my own pictures then instead of the historic marker database. And I'm also with this companion series that's the town series. It's the Hometown Foundations. I was going around taking pictures of that so I can put out hopefully the first one today, but I'm not sure if that's going to happen. That'll probably happen tomorrow. But this is a really impressive sculpture. I would assume that that's brown, or bronze. Hopefully you can see this here. So not seeing how good it is in my camera. But this is the Shekhalemi border, or boulder. I believe it is Chief Shekhalemi that this is in honor of. Who's one of the chiefs of the Six Nations. Now they really trusted Conrad Weiser because he really took up their cause. There's a lot like Simon Gertie, who we talked about. There's another stone over here. I'm assuming it's the same thing, the Muhlenberg Mall. But Simon Gertie and it was General Peter Muhlenberg. That's interesting. But they were both trusted. They both knew the languages, and they treated the Native Americans with a lot of respect. And that was not necessarily the most common of things. So Native Americans sort of took people at their word and thought the people would have the honor, and unfortunately a lot of times that just did not happen. And Native Americans really, in a lot of ways, got shafted pretty bad by the British and the colonials. And you had some that were honest. The Wyandotte Flagstaff. No flag today. It's brutal here. It's the Wyandotte tribe, number 301, erected by the Degree team. Probably in honor of Conrad Weiser and everything that he did for the Native Americans, trying to be fair. You can see the property here is just beautiful. We'll get closer up and we'll look at this house, but we'll go down to the pond first because it's so pretty. I came out here in winter and took a lot of pictures because you don't have to deal with anybody, because it does, I don't know how busy it gets here, but I prefer to come here when I'm filming when there's not a whole lot of people out, because you can sort of enjoy yourself a little bit more, get a little closer up to the house. But they do have tours and things like that you can come. I'm sure it was some kind of cost, but not very much. But it is quite the neat place. And he's one of those guys that really, in a lot of ways, is forgotten about his importance. And it's a shame. Clever talked about, and he did his video. Conrad Weiser, if he had lived longer, maybe certain conflicts might not have happened and it would have turned out differently. Also, in a way, he paid attention to the Iroquois nation more so than the there's another stone. Let's see what this is. Honorary Richard Peters. I don't know who that is. I'll have to do more research so I can tell you who some of these people are. Maybe the next time we come here, I'll have a little bit more information. And I didn't see them the last time I was here. Still having a little bit of issues like with walking sometimes. Just getting used to doing the mowing again. It's not the easiest thing for me to do. And today is just, like I said, this weird last minute uncanny winter weather that comes in a cold front. It's really windy, and it was out earlier today and it was like sleeting, snowing. It's just bizarre. Which doesn't make all this stuff fun, but it is very, very cool to come to these places, because this is a place I hadn't come before that time when I took the pictures back in winter. But anyways, he he made this deal. He decided to go and make a deal with the Iroquois. I guess they might have been more aggressive in the past, whereas the Lenape had been a little easier to deal with. And the Lenape really got taken advantage of. And there's a lot of other ways to put it too. And you see how pretty this is. The little pond that's here. We'll walk over the creek and then we'll walk up the steps. But Lenape basically made a deal. Well, somebody else made a deal on the Lenape's land and didn't tell them. I guess it was Iroquois Nation, and they assumed that the British were going to walk and that they were only going to do it during the day, but they actually got runners, and basically as far as they could go, they would get that land. So they got an enormous parcel of land for a really cheap price, and the Lenape had already been sort of knocked out of Delaware, so they were already not terribly happy about this stuff. And when this happened, they really got angry. I believe there was two separate parts of the French and Indian War. First part was the part they known as French and Indian War. I believe 55 or 56, somewhere in there it started, and the Lenape were part of that. And it was sort of, in a way, it was an oversight on Conrad Weiser's part. But you can also understand why he made the deal that he did more with the Iroquois, because it kept things maybe a little safer, but it also may have also precipitated having a war. We'll go up that monument. It's a pretty neat monument. So he was not a perfect man, but he was an honest man. But anyways, this deal, the Lenape were not happy about it, obviously, and were justified in their anger and decided they were going to take matters into their own hands. Last time I was here, this wasn't running like this. So that's really, really pretty. I had a slight pause there because I wanted to take a picture. You can see the pond here from this angle. The bridge over there. We'll go across the bridge here just quick and you can check out the other little waterfall, and then we'll go up these really, really neat steps. I always like these. They're just so cool. A little terrifying to go up. Me being not the most balanced human being in the world, but still pretty neat. Hopefully we can look right down here, see the other tiny little waterfall there. Another little bridge over there as well. We'll go up to this other monument, and after that we'll go up to the houses. Yeah, these are just neat steps. Sort of wonder how old these are because they look like they have a ton of age, but I mean, you never know. But it's pretty neat. But this is definitely a place. Conrad Weiser Homestead here in Womelsdorf, Pennsylvania. Well worth checking out. Just coming through if you want to do a number of different things. Another cool view of the pond. There's a goosey out there in the middle of the lake. They're usually mean. This is to the pioneers and heroes of Tulpehocken, which is this area, which is a really neat statue there, monument and memorial to our heroes. So we'll go up path here. So have a little bit of different perspective of my ugliness, just for your enjoyment. But yeah, so this is a home here. This was built much later. We'll look at some of the different plaques they have here and maybe read some of those off. But it really is, it's definitely is a neat place to come here, check out, see some really old architecture, old stone buildings, and really just enjoy them. A lot of people come here just like walk their dogs, that type of thing. So I'm gonna flip this around again because I'm hideous. I'm scaring myself. So here's I believe this would be something like a summer house, summer kitchen. And we'll get the numbers there and we'll get a look at it. I want to give you another view here. You can just see how the stonework, it's just really, really pretty. And there's an old electric box that was put in by Conrad Weiser himself, and some gas lines, and even his internet connection. Because everybody knows back in the day, back in the 1700s, you needed that internet connection to do some Twitter with your Native American allies. But, I just love the shutters. It's such a beautiful, beautiful home. I'm hoping you can see that well, because with the glare of the sun, it's like that's sort of brutal. But this is probably like a summer kitchen, I'm assuming. There is a spring that comes out on the side here, and we'll go down to that. But this is the building they actually thought was the original, because they did a bunch of architecture here and stuff like that, and I guess with some of the stuff that they were finding, it just didn't match up. There's also his original air conditioner. But it's just beautiful, beautiful property. I don't think the spring is, they don't have the water on. I was taking pictures of this the last time I was here, and the water was running. It got a really cool sort of cascading effect. Yeah, don't drink the water or the Kool-Aid. Yeah, it's really pretty. I like how they have the old like shingling type thing there too. But so they do have a plaque on the building here. I'm assuming that barn was probably part of this property as well. I mean, these plantations were huge, a lot more property. So they have home of Conrad Weiser. This is a home, 1729 to 1760. He was churchman, counselor, soldier, Indian interpreter, agent, diplomat, and first judge of Berks County. Here held many conferences with the Indian chiefs. Here were reared his children, of whom the eldest daughter, Anna Maria, married Reverend Henry Melchior Muhlenberg. So that's the connection with the Muhlenbergs. Patriarch of the Lutheran Church in America. Here he died on July 13, 1760, and lies buried in a family plot nearby, together with his father, his wife, several children, and a number of friendly Indian chiefs. He so ably served the colonies as Indian interpreter and as diplomat that he's regarded as the pivotal man who brought this county or country under Anglo-Saxon versus Latin civilization. Posterity cannot forget his services. Let's look over here at this thing just quick. It does give a little information. It's pretty worn, but we can't be sure. We know Conrad Weiser owned this land, lived on this property from 1729 to 1750, and there is a strong oral tradition indicating that Weiser's house stood on this spot, but the archaeology conducted in 2000 found few artifacts dating to the early 1700s. Even if Weiser lived in this house, it has changed quite a bit since his time. The Sheets family, who farmed the area after the Weisers, used the homestead as a summer kitchen. Later owners made repairs after a fire and tornado damaged the building in the early 1900s. More renovations occurred when Conrad Weiser Memorial Park was founded in the 1920s. As a result, very little of the original construction material remains. And here it sort of shows you. You can pause on that. But they show the different, and there's the tornado damage, and then these different time periods of when they did new constructions and stuff like that, which makes sense. But this is the home that they can think, if one of them that was here, because it could have very well just been a log house as well, who knows at this stage. But yeah, this is the Conrad Weiser Homestead. We will visit here again. I'll get a little bit more information on different things, especially knowing when or which buildings are which, because they do have them numbered. That probably comes with like a pamphlet that you could get for the property. Unfortunately, they don't have any of those, at least I don't see, because this only opens at a certain point, and then they do keep pamphlets in this one thing, but there are none there right now. But anyways, cool place to visit, a lot of history here. There's a lot that isn't necessarily known, but we'll find out more. And thanks for coming along once again on this latest adventure here at the Conrad Weiser Homestead here in Womelsdorf. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you all about town.